Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Michael. We're super excited to have you joining us on a warm morning here in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Summer's right around the corner.
Summer is up. Exactly. It'll be here before you know it. You'll just wake up one morning, walk out of your house, and be like, "I can't breathe."
It's kind of getting there already. It's like you woke up, I went outside. It's like, oh, it's hot.
I walked out of my house, and I'm like, oh, it's already hot this morning. So it's summer starts early here in Virginia, but that's still an opportunity to grab your café con leche or your iced café con leche. And Xavier will highly recommend not the iced version. Get into a nice, comfortable spot, maybe with air conditioning, and watch some Today Mañanas. So
perfect. Sounds like an ideal morning.
It's always an ideal morning to watch some Today Mañana. So we, especially when we have a great trio of guests lined up for everyone this morning. We're going to be joined shortly in the show by Margo Steinlage and Windett from the Steinlage Insurance Agency. And then later on in the show, we're going to be joined by Weston Wirt, founder of Breezemont Builders. So we've got a great show lined up for everyone this morning. I'm here with Michael, which is always a joy.
It's always a joy having you leading the show. I always like this position better than there because I ain't got to do the...
Xavier, you have to do the...
Yeah, I got to do... Then I got to read the sponsor list, who's on the show. Then I'm like, oh, I want to mess up the names.
Exactly. No, I can sympathize. I can sympathize with that. Vanessa Parto already tuning into the show this morning. Thank you, Vanessa, for watching. Always love our fantastic viewers. We got Monica Miller, not in Montana, but in Virginia, watching the show this morning. We've got Dr. Elizabeth Urpí and Maria Urpí watching the show this morning. Maria really loves the show, so I can vouch for that. And so we got some great guests.
She's your number one fan, I hear.
She's my new number one fan. She's my new number one fan. So always love that. Be sure to send us any questions, comments, likes, shares. I can read all the great comments on air because there's only ever great comments. So we love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. Always love our partners, Emergent Financial Services, Matthias Realty, Charlottesville Opera. Always love you, our audience. And so I don't know about you. I'm excited to jump right on in
today.
Let's do it. So we're excited to welcome to the show this morning Margo Steinlage and Windett from the Steinlage Insurance Agency. Margo, Angela, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you, guys. We're glad to be back in the saddle here.
Glad to have you back.
Was it a year or two ago? When was our last visit?
Probably a year ago.
Yeah, probably a year ago.
Yeah.
Always excited to have our repeat guest, especially when the desk was on and I wasn't there that day. It's like, now I get to do the interview with these guests.
For Alex, it's a new guest.
I
know. For me, it's a new guest.
Well, and congrats is in order for you, little baby
you.
Maria. I mean, what beautiful news. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's just it's a great
So if Alex has slightly puffy eyes,
I get it.
It wasn't because he didn't want to go on the show this morning. You know, he wasn't crying I got to do no.
I love being on the show. You know, Maria just keeps me busy. Exactly.
She loves her father so much she doesn't want to go to sleep. Right?
Exactly. Why does she just keep staring into my eyes with big eyes?
Well, I had to propose the question of how are you insuring your baby already? Because we do health insurance here. So
Margo's putting you on the spot. All right.
Well, I am lucky. I have the easy answer, which is my wife works at UVA and I am on health insurance. One day I will have the hard answer to that question.
We're going to hit Michael up in the fall.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have to go through the
Don't ask me those health questions because I'm going to be like my dad. I'm like, I just go, what's the cheapest one?
Nobody does make you think of three things. Because Nick does a lot of our financial planning, and he was the first to kind of, as soon as you start, a child's on the way, you're like, life insurance. Do I have all my other insurances in order? Which hope I do, and then health insurance.
Totally.
Okay, does I now need to go through this process again? Particularly, I think for a lot of people, not everyone, right, is already on a spouse's health insurance. So you kind of have to go through that process. And I know I'm excited to ask you both, for viewers that haven't had a chance to meet you yet, how you started this, because I know one of the top things we get from a lot of clients in the financial industry is, I know a gazillion property and casualty insurance people, and I don't know a lot of health insurance. So how did you both get into this business and really kind of go down the road of health insurance?
Yeah, well, I'm a third-generation insurance agent. So my grandfather started the company in the 50s. My dad took it over, and then myself and my two brothers, we have had a very graceful succession plan, and now I own the company. And I joke I was basically born with a Medicare card. All I know is ACA, Obamacare, Medicare. Like, if you need somebody in Charlottesville who has your back on health insurance, Team Steinlage is here. And I met Angela, 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, at a football game, a high school football game.
Oh, my goodness.
And she jumped on board with us. She had some great experience. And she's been a rock star. And she just took the title as #1 insurance agent in Charlottesville.
This is like breaking news, right?
I know, with Reader's Choice, second year in a row. So she is a phenomenal woman, just a powerhouse mom, and also a broker. She goes above and beyond for her clients, for her team. I call her the office mom because she takes care of me when I come in with puffy eyes and sleep deprivation.
So if you see my license plate, it says Team Mom on it. So
there you go. Exactly.
We're gonna have to get some plates that say Steinlage Insurance on it. Like, office mom.
There you go. Exactly. And that's a big deal because just as ready. It's not like when you're doing the Daily Progress, the Reader's Choice. It's not like you're up against like one other health insurance. Like you're up against like all the 1,000 property and casualty, every insurance agent in the area.
We were against all the property and casualty. We were the only health insurance company in the running. And not only am I the #1 agent for Charlottesville, but Steinlage Insurance is also the #1 agency in Charlottesville.
That's awesome.
And that's 2 years in a row as well.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
And our clients vote for us, so it's says a lot about our services. And Angela's been really great. She's got a lot of Google reviews online, which has been really cool to see. We help people left and right, and you get the email saying, hey, thanks so much. But then, at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, you get this random Google notification pop up on your phone, and Betty Jones gives you a 5-star review and says how wonderful your team is or your services are. And it's just another pat on the back that is a confirmation that, hey, you're doing the right thing for people, you're going above and beyond, and people appreciate what we're doing. So it makes us wake up every day, get into the office, and is the motivator and the why behind what we're doing.
I agree. I think that, we both get up so early in the morning. We like to run.
Not voluntarily. I have 4 children who are screaming, Mama!
But, we do our job till 5 o'clock, and when we're tired, when we go to bed, it's because we're tired and we know what we've done for our clients. We've done right by our clients. I think listening to our clients, what they need, not what we want, is why we're so successful as well.
You joked earlier about the humidity and how it's coming and how brace yourself. Well, the humidity brings up some anxiety for me because it means we're 3 months out from the annual enrollment period for Medicare and ACA. So I'm like, oh gosh, the humidity's here. I only have 3 months. We got to prepare. Time to get our ducks in a row for Medicare AEP and the November kickoff for ACA. But yeah, the humidity is it's bittersweet.
Exactly.
Pool season is here, but I know the work that's coming in the next few weeks.
Yeah,
so.
The accountants have their April dread. You guys know that.
Okay. Absolutely. October 15th to December 7th on the Medicare side is the AEP, and then November 1 to December 15th, which that usually gets extended from some states. So that's the AEP on the under 65. Market. So yeah, we're very busy. It's like our tax season for sure.
I would imagine.
I'm like, Angela, no fun during October and November. My husband hates me during the fall open enrollment. I remember my dad saying, you guys are a family business, so you get it. My dad's always trying to drop little nuggets of advice here and there, and now he's fully retired, so the advice is coming left and right. But he's always like, Margo, stop and smell the roses. Like, you got to see the leaves change in the fall, and be aware because we grind and work so hard during that season. But it's good though. We kind of calm down. We stay busy year round because we work with a lot of individuals who are approaching their 65th birthday. They have a birthday in June, so we help them transition or decide if Medicare is actually required. And then also we stay busy with individuals who are maybe early retirees or having a baby or leaving their job and opening up their own firm. You know, you have your home builder coming on next, and he may need health insurance because he's no longer part of a large group. So we do stay busy year-round in that capacity, but it's not as intense as the fall
that little
open
period
enrollment.
there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what happens during open enrollment that gets you busy? You have all these people trying to get on health insurance?
Well, I would say we kind of self-create this busyness because we are really proactive with our current clients. It's not like a set-it-and-forget-it relationship with Steinlage. And it's funny because our PNC guys never reach out to us and say, hey, Margo, your barn insurance and your farm insurance just went up $500 and it had a 25% rate. They don't proactively reach out to me to rate shop that property and casualty insurance. Whereas here at Steinlage, we reach out to every single client in August. We send out an intake form to collect updated drugs, medications, doctors, what's changed. And then come October, we are proactively reaching out to every single one of our clients to say, hey, based on your new drug list that you submitted to us and your information and the plan changes for the upcoming year, we're recommending a change so we can save you $400 or $200 or you indicated you wanted to go to a supplement. We have to underwrite. So we bring that education and we bring the quality plan recommendation every year. And because we're kind of taking that extra step proactively, we're crazy busy for really October.
And I think the other thing for us is we're licensed in all 50 states. So that's what also keeps us very, very busy as well. It's not just here locally. That helps us keep busy.
Yeah.
And I like to joke
we
with my...
follow you. You can't hide from us.
That's an understatement. I mean, I like to joke with my clients that if there's a possibility they may move down the road, to a retirement location or whatever, I tell them always have a spare bedroom for me because I'm going to come move with you. And it's the truth because we do move with our clients. They don't have to go find another Margo or Angela. We can still help them wherever they move to.
And that's why
Nick.
you won best the health insurance agent, no matter where they
Yeah.
go. All the way to Cabin, Alaska. Angela
Unless
Margo
you're
will
Nick
be
over
there.
in Italy, and
Yeah.
then we're just visiting for the wine.
Okay.
Exactly.
Exactly. So what's the process like? I mean, on that, so obviously you're very proactive current clients. What's the process like when you've got someone new that's kind of walking in and saying, okay, I'm starting my own business and I need something, or that open enrollment period's coming and I need some help. What's kind of like the walkthrough for someone who's watching and says, all right, I may want to give Margo and Angela a call. What can I expect?
Yeah, so they can reach out to us. We have a great team of schedulers that will schedule an appointment. We're able to do phone calls. We can do Zooms. We can do in person. And we have the intake form that they would fill out, get that appointment scheduled, have that consultation with us. And then, with Medicare, we're able to help clients, do they need to take Medicare or they're going to delay it? We help make those decisions with them, tell them about their enrollment periods. Obviously, when you're 65, that's 3 months before your 65th birthday, the month of, and 3 months after. But if you've delayed Medicare, you're going to start applying 90 days prior to your effective date that you want. So we help with that. We cannot enroll people into Medicare, but we can assist them and give them that guidance for sure. And then we talk about the options that they have, in regards to Medicare, and some of these options are zip code specific, like your drug plan or your Medicare Advantage plan. So we are able to see which option's the best fit for them. And then we do that annual review with them every year. And because we're attached to them when we help them enroll into their Medicare plans, we can help answer their questions during the year. We're help them out if there's a problem,
Yeah, we're really there for the pre-enrollment support, enrollment support when they actually narrow down on a plan, and then also the post-enrollment.
Right, so it's not like, okay, we signed you up, bye. No, we're there.
This is why she has 300 Google reviews. She also shows up at your doorstep and says, sign here. I need your Google review. Just type your name here. No, I'm just joking. Angela's wonderful. And to recap what she's mentioning is we have a conversation with your clients first or anyone who comes across Steinlage, just pick up the phone and call us, and we're going to do a needs analysis. Tell us your story, tell us your circumstances. Let's find out more about your unique situation, and then we can dole out the advice and kind of onboard and go from there.
Exactly.
But the simplest way to get a hold of us is just call us,
Yep.
or send us an email, which, like you all, we're pretty available online. You Google, Steinlage or health insurance brokers. We're
Not hard to
popping
find.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
We're not as sassy as you all with the podcast yet.
Yeah, but I heard you told us before the show you had some podcasts.
Yeah. Well, this is my third podcast, Angela's second.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of education webinars. We're up at the center at Belvedere. We're there 2 times a month doing education, and we really are neutral with what we are explaining to the individual who's approaching their 65th birthday. We give the total picture. What is a supplement? Also, what is an advantage plan? What are the pros and cons to each decision? Because what a lot of people lose in the education is, what's the long-term consequence to my initial decision when I move into a product? Am I locked out of an alternative pathway? What if I get super sick? How will underwriting questions, health questions come into play? So we're up at the center, and I think we're at like our 300th, I'm pulling that out of a hat, but somewhere around there, webinar that we've done with other advisors. So I am really excited. We're going over to Austin for XYPN Association, their big monster conference for all of their advisors. We're heading out to California for education to financial FPAs. And then we also are doing a big conference in October up in New Jersey. So we're kind of getting a national recognition, and it's cool to see that growth and also stay local here in Charlottesville. And Angela kind of runs point on all of our local conversations, which again is probably why she won Best Agent. She's my rock star.
Well, I'll be leaving here and going to the center actually today for a seminar. So I have one today. So it's always the first Thursday of every month at the center, and then the third Wednesday night of every month too. So I give those,
which is really key. I mean, it's just so nice to have people out there teaching the basics, because we'll still get sometimes, like, okay, yeah, Medicare's free, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
Right.
okay, let's just abuse it.
Wait till you hear about Aunt Irma and that high income slap in the face. Well, I know we were talking about this offline, but we do have Manny, who is also an amazing broker here at Steinlage, but he is fully fluent in Spanish. He's from El Salvador. He's been with me for 5 years. He's amazing. I can't say enough great things about Manny. But if there's ever a need, Medicare's confusing, but to learn it in an alternative language, it can be. And Manny always says, he's like, there's some terms in Medicare that don't have a
Spanish.
And he's like, it's the webinar, the education for Spanish speaking, instead of like 45 minutes, it's an hour and a half, because he blends and has to go back and forth. So it's been cool to see his perspective on that bilingual, content. But he is available, Zoom, phone calls. We try to get him. He's up in Arlington, but we try to get him down once a month.
And education is just so important. We tell our clients that are becoming eligible for Medicare that they should start the process, 12 to 18 months ahead of time, so that they're starting to get educated. I mean, that was what my previous life used to be. I used to be a teacher, and I feel like I'm just teaching in a different way. Yeah, for sure.
So much of financial industry is education. It's teaching people, in addition to helping them, finally make a selection. Right. Marilyn Haley is tuning in, watching the show this morning. Thanks so much, Marilyn. I've always appreciate everyone tuning in. So you mentioned, obviously, you've got open enrollments coming up in October, November. You've got people, obviously, any time of the year you could be eligible for Medicaid, or Medicare, I should say. What are some changes or big upcoming things? Anything people should be aware of, or things you're talking about with your current and prospective clients?
I'll jump in with the ACA changes. I'll let you run with that cap on the drug. But I would say one of the biggest things we're looking at is what's going to happen to the ACA Obamacare program. And right now, all of the ACA extensions and extension to the subsidy access is set to expire at the end of the year. So anybody who in the last 4 years received subsidy, maybe they were on like the fritz of, hey, I may get it or I may not, and they actually found out that, hey, I get pretty cheap insurance through Obamacare, through the ACA. This upcoming year, that may go away, and it's set, the subsidies and the extension are set to expire. So that's something we're watching, because we may see a large fall off on ACA enrollments. You know, we had a couple million extra enrollments on Obamacare over the last few years, and this massive growth because of the subsidy extension. And now if these go away, you know, somebody who's paying $5 or $50 a month for a family plan through the Virginia marketplace, next year that could be $500 or $600 a month, and you may see people drop coverage because, hey, I can't afford this anymore. So we're watching that, and then also within this big, beautiful bill that Trump has passed, is pushing through or trying to get approved. There is a HSA extension where, hey, right now if somebody is turning 65, they're on a large group plan, and they sign up for any portion of Medicare, they can't contribute into an HSA, and have any part of Medicare, even the free Part A. So this big, beautiful bill that Trump's proposed is allowing somebody to maintain large group coverage beyond 65 and enroll in Part A and max out their HSA.
Which is, that would be
with that free Part A benefit. So we see clients fumble through that right now because it's finicky. You know, nobody's telling you that. You're listening to your HR leader who is not an insurance broker or a financial advisor. They're kind of, you know, just, hey, I think this is right, but verify this with a broker. So we're seeing a lot of people fumble through that HSA and Part A enrollment right now. And I do think there's value in this big, beautiful bill with the HSA component. If we're just looking at the HSA allowance, that's amazing. And then the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed in 2022. Angela, you want to tell them a little bit about what changes happened this year?
So because of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2025, they have capped medication costs at $2,000. And of course, they have to be medications that are approved and covered by Medicare to have that cap. But so if you have a bunch of medications and you reach this $2,000 limit, your medication costs are zero after that.
Ozempic.
You have to have a medical diagnosis for Ozempic.
Independent of your out-of-pocket maximums.
Correct.
Okay.
If somebody goes, this, again, we're kind of isolating the conversation to somebody who's on Medicare, who's 65 and older, right?
Okay. Yeah.
This doesn't pertain to ACA. And they are on a ton of meds or really expensive inhalers or diabetic, you know, the fancy meds, the Ozempic and semaglutide. So if you're on those medications, you're in the past, without this law, you would have paid $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for those medications under Medicare, either Medicare Advantage or standalone Part D. And now, because of this $2,000 cap, no matter what drug plan you select, whether it's built into that zero premium Medicare Advantage HMO or PPO plan, or the standalone Part D plan with a supplement, you're seeing that $2,000 cap come into play. And as you're referencing, Alex, it's a $2,000 drug cap, and then if you're on that zero premium Medicare Advantage plan, that has a separate medical out-of-pocket maximum. So again, through the education, you know, that zero premium Medicare Advantage plan looks really attractive, but a downside is, hey, you know, you could have a $400, $500, $900, $300 medical max exposure if you get hit by the bus.
Yeah.
God forbid. And then if you're on 5 or 6 medications and oral chemo med, you have $2,000 of exposure. That's $11,000 in out-of-pocket costs, where you could avoid that with, you know, $130 supplement policy.
Yeah.
So balancing somebody's financial situation, what they can afford, what they can't, and also providing that long-term just pros and cons to the initial decision is where Angela is fantastic.
Well, I think
she's very passionate, as we all are about what we do.
And we get our clients medicines, the name, the dosage, all that, and we're able to tell our clients, hey, maybe you're going to hit that cap in June, or maybe later in the year, or maybe at the first of the year. But
or go check out Mark Cuban, Cost Plus Drugs, or GoodRx, and you will pay $13 for your medication that runs $500 under Medicare, or your group plan or your ACA plan. These alternatives like GoodRx or Mark Cuban. I feel like I should get royalties from Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, if you're listening, you owe me.
You mentioned twice already.
I mention your name 5 times a day, every day. So I'm here. You can find me in Charlottesville. But these alternative options that fall totally outside of the Medicare or ACA or group plans are really great ways to keep and contain your medication costs. Like, if you guys are on medications or you have friends who are on medications, let them know that GoodRx and Mark Cuban, it's an online site, Cost Plus Drugs, you can type in your meds. It'll be, not always, but many times you'll see a 80% savings compared to what it costs through the Medicare or ACA program or your group plan. It's wild. My husband had, he got bit by a tick 2 years ago, and so I went to CVS and I was like, hey, I need to fill this 10-day antibiotic little Z-pack for him. And I had Anthem. It was before we had a group plan for all of my employees at Steinlage, but I had an Anthem ACA off-exchange plan. And we went to CVS. I tried to fill it, and they were like, oh, that's going to be $125 for a 10-day Z-Pack. I'm like, what? Hold on. They made me come inside. I was like, hey, can you run this antibiotic through GoodRx? What's the price? And they came back, and they're like, oh, that's going to be $5. Yeah. Right there, just asking a simple question. I mean, the pharmacist was pretty ticked off because they had to go a little extra further, do a little extra work, but they gave me the GoodRx rate. I didn't have to show a coupon. Just knowing those little pro tips, it can save tremendous. That's once a month now. You're filling a monthly med. This was a one-off experience for me. So not only are we mentioning just hey, this is how you go through Medicare and ACA, but we're giving these little tips throughout the year. And I will say, anyone who's going on Medicare, if you're listening and you have not seen your doctor in the last 2, 3, 4 years, many doctors are kind of saying, hey, we're not taking new Medicare patients. So if you're a current patient of us and you move into Medicare, we'll take you. And I see this more in Northern Virginia than here in Charlottesville. But many doctors are saying, hey, if you haven't come in and seen me in 2 or 3 years, you're now labeled a new patient when you walk in with your Medicare card, regardless if it's a Medicare and supplement or a Medicare Advantage package. They're going to say, hey, we can't see you. So doctors are getting pinched by the Medicare reimbursement rates, the Medicare Advantage negotiated rates. Everybody's trying to do their best here. But if you go and set that relationship up, I say you guys are 65. If you go set that relationship up and just rekindle the relationship with your primary care doctor, you could avoid losing out on, their treatment.
It's almost like because I know sometimes people are like, okay, yeah, I feel healthy, I don't need to do the once-a-year checkup, but it's almost like treat the once-a-year checkup not as, all right, even if you don't think you need it for health purposes, do it as a financial incentive.
Right.
Going once a year helps you maintain a relationship that you can then move into.
Exactly.
When you may actually need to go one day.
And people shouldn't be navigating this process by themselves. That's when we get the phone calls when people have already done stuff, and it's we'll be able to maybe help you during the annual enrollment period or something. But that's when people should, from the get-go, should talk to us from whenever you have. If you have a situation where you can get a plan under 65 during the year, if you lost your job.
Does it cost anything for
It doesn't cost anything.
Is the premium more expensive?
No, we give you the same rate that you can see on a website, So it's you shouldn't navigate this process by yourself because you don't want to do something that's not in your best interest. We're here, like Margo said, we know those little quirks that maybe you don't know about your medicines and stuff that just makes us stand out above others. And, you know, when it comes to if you have high premiums from Medicare for your B because you have high income, we can help you with your IRMA. And if you don't know what IRMA is, it's
Call Angela.
income related monthly adjusted amount. But no, it's just these are the things that really set us apart from other brokers.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Always, this has been such a pleasure. Always love to end it with a comment. Marilyn Haney says, these gals are the best.
Oh, Haney, I see you, Marilyn.
So
Yes,
before
love
we
it,
let you
love
both
it.
go, where can people find you?
All right, so we are here in Charlottesville. We have an office space in the North Fork Research Park near the airport. That's where our office is located. And then, like I said, we can do phone calls and we can do Zooms as well.
Sometimes hot yoga Charlottesville at the noon class.
Or I go run at the Y.
Wonderful, wonderful.
If I'm ever aimlessly walking down the street, I've had too little of sleep and I've completely lost it. So
There you go.
turn me in.
There you go. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you both on.
Absolutely.
Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
Always
Yes.
appreciate it.
Awesome.
Have a good
Thank you,
one.
guys.
Thank you so much.
So as we rotate out
Yeah.
here,
That was
We always
fantastic
learn
to
so
hear.
much, yeah.
Margo and Angela kind of just start going in. You could see where they talk about the teaching,
Yeah.
how they do their webinars, and you know, like at the center and stuff like that. Because
Exactly.
suddenly it's like I felt like I was getting a whole education, right?
exactly. No, you really
I was,
do.
I was sitting there.
You
I was
really
like,
do.
I was like speeches. I was like, oh my gosh, like all this new stuff you're learning. You're like, I had no idea.
Well, you know, everything is siloed, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, like, in other words, when there's congressional bills and things like that, all the financial advisors get all the emails like, hey, this is what's going to happen to Roth IRAs, this is what's going to happen to simple IRAs. All the health insurance people, right, are getting, this is what's going to happen to this is what's going to happen to Medicare, right? But if you're not in that silo and you're just an average person, you're like, I'm not getting all these,
Yeah.
I'm not getting 30 emails saying what's going to happen in this new bill. And if you try to look it up online, you're going to be lost in 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So it's great to have that kind of experience,
I agree.
you know? And speaking of experience, too, in which I know I know this has been a great journey. We're really glad to have him on. We're joined now on the show by Weston Wirt. He is the founder of Breezemont Builders. Weston, thanks so
Yeah.
much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Coming
thank
on.
you guys for having me.
No.
It's
We've been
it's
trying
good
to
be
get
here.
him on. He's been too popular though. We couldn't have him on the show.
But we've been looking forward to it for a while, and we're glad we're able to have you on. But the funny thing is, so glad we know you well. But
Yes.
for the audience that hasn't met you yet, maybe a little bit about like kind of your journey
Yes,
to
totally.
start Breezemont Builders.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always had a passion for trade work. Since I was in high school, I would do summer jobs. I worked for a contractor in Roanoke, and that's kind of where I started, and just really enjoyed it. And so after high school, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do still, and ended up getting an electrical job in Buckingham County, and spent some time down there, really learned electrical work, and that was in 2015. So
Yeah.
it's been
You've
about
been-
10 years.
exactly, yeah.
Of electrical experience. Worked for an electrician here in town for a long time. Had good experience there, but just knew I wanted to start my own thing,
Exactly.
and I felt like there was just more room for me to grow by starting my own thing. So
What was it like taking that plunge to
Yes.
actually? Because I know it's actually a lot of work, and there's
Yeah.
steps involved.
totally, yeah. I would say, taking the plunge was a wild experience. We officially started Breezemont Builders in 2024. At the beginning, me and my wife, and shout out to my wife because she really helped me and gives me lots of good advice. So I turn to her every day and I'm like, what do you think about this estimate? What do you think about this? What do you think about this business idea? So sometimes I think I overload her with ideas, but
It's not time. It's amazing how many times, right? We've got the entrepreneur and it's like husband and wife team, and I would say 9 times out of 10, the accounting numbers thing is the wife
Yes.
doing it. The guys that I do the stuff, but my wife is the one that does all the numbers.
yes, yeah. I think Kristen. So we just had our first kid about a year and a half ago, and we're trying to grow our family. But I think she would definitely be better at the numbers if she was doing it, but
More.
right now I'm the numbers guy
Numbers
too,
guy, yeah.
and so I have to keep up with the QuickBooks accounting and everything.
She's there to
so.
make sure that your numbers are right. You're like, what do you
Yes.
think
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
this? Does this sound right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So taking the plunge, though, there's a lot to do with having your own business, and just getting all the licenses is difficult. And I really think the licensing process here in Virginia could be improved upon as far as education and everything. It's a little complicated, but I figured it out. Talked with the department, the board of contractors, and took a bunch of tests, and here we are. So yeah.
It's amazing.
And what's the story behind the name, Breezemont?
Yeah, so the story behind the name and logo is it's actually our home. So Breezemont Drive is the road we live on, and so we like to refer to our home place as Breezemont. And I think for me, it's just a reminder that my work is for my home. It's for my wife, my son, and just keeping that goal in mind of like, hey, this is what it's for, and just like a local, scenic, beautiful place where we live.
Well, it's like full circle because you're doing it for your home, but where you're working is other people's homes. Like you're helping them also build a home and improve their home.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And that's exactly what we want to do, is really help our clients enjoy their home. Our little motto or tagline is space, order, beauty. And so we're trying to create a beautiful space for our clients, bring order where, hey, something broke, something, the dog ripped into something, garage door got run into or something. But, so we're trying to help our clients just make their home a beautiful place.
You got the comments coming already. Weston Wirt says he gets the job done, right?
Any relation?
Lily DeRay says Breezemont Builders installed my AC unit. Awesome. #faves. So you were one of her favorites. So yeah, cool. So that already got the comments coming in this morning. So what are some of the things that you can do for people, for your clients?
Yeah, totally. So Breezemont Builders. We actually don't build homes at this point.
From scratch, yeah.
From scratch, yeah. Technically, we're licensed to. We could do that. I would have to work with a lot of subcontractors, but we hope to do that in the future, and we'll see when that comes along. But our focus right now is really handyman repairs. So we do small repairs. Maybe it's a half day or a full day. So any kind of carpentry repairs. We do some light electrical, light plumbing work, but we try to keep that to a minimum right now since we're not really licensed in those areas. But yeah, we really focus on just like, hey, do you need a picture hung? Do you need your deck boards repaired? And, just trying to keep it small, simple, 1 to 2 days max as far as repair time.
So it's those kind of projects where you're like, I'm not going to call like a major contracting company to put this door in, to do this, but I kind of don't. I don't want to do it myself, or I don't know how to do it myself, and it's worth it to get someone who really knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And I think the electrical license is kind of key there, because it's you're not going in and doing a whole refit of the electrical stuff.
Yep.
But a lot of times when you're doing a basic job, if you try to DIY it, you're going to run into something electrical, and the last thing you want to do is mess that up.
Yes, totally. Yeah. So I have lots of electrical experience. So I currently have my journeyman electrical license, and then next year we'll be launching Breezemont Electric officially in March of 2026, and then we'll offer full electrical services. So
then we'll have to have him back on the show.
Yeah, just have to have you back.
How'd you stop Breezemont Electrical?
Yes.
So what are the most common needs that you kind of help people? Is that going to be a question, Alex?
No, that was the question.
Literally, what are the most common needs that like you kind of help people with lately?
Totally. Yeah, I would say, most common things. We've done a lot of door installs, so like storm doors or screen doors or just new front door. So those kind of things. We do like a lot of small, like replacing an outlet or a switch, putting a dimmer, maybe hanging a light that already has a existing box or whatever. So
Some outdoor decks.
basic carpentry stuff. Yeah. Deck boards.
Because I imagine as summer comes, decks and probably screen doors are probably going to be like a big need that people kind of be wanting to start looking at. Like, so when you're installing like a screen door, like how's that a challenge? Because I'm just kind of thinking, like, if someone already has a door, like they haven't really prepared for a screen door, how do you kind of put that in? Do you have to change anything around the door?
Yeah, sometimes we have to, add a little bit more wood or cut some wood away, and then install the screen door. So usually there's a little modification, and I would say that's kind of where we specialize in just those. A lot of these things, I feel like a homeowner could install it, but it helps to have just a little know-how and finesse, and I would say that's kind of our niche is being able to get them a good product that's going to last and be good for them. So
that's the difference, I think, is sometimes when you do a project yourself but without the know-how, right? Yeah, you're going to end up with something, right, that, okay, is it mildly functional? Yes. Right. But you're going to be able to tell, I stuck this thing in because it doesn't quite fit right. Think about a screen door. If you don't add the wood you need to or shave and make the space, you'll be like, well, this thing's kind of sticking out a little bit.
Well, and the problem too, like Weston says, when you have someone who knows what they're doing, I know doors, you could suddenly put an extra door, and now suddenly you're starting to pull the wood, because now you have too much weight on something. We've seen it firsthand.
So it's that extra level of expertise that's the difference between all right, the door opens and closes versus this door looks like it was always here.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And it's part of the making it look, because you also, we've seen some of your handiwork. You also have that kind of finesse where, like, in other words, it's not going to just work. You do woodworking, even like we've seen some of your woodworking for decorative purposes.
Yes,
and so it's gonna look good, as well, which is I think
he remodeled his entire kitchen. It looked like a designer kitchen. It was pretty impressive. I thought I was walking to like a Food Network set or something. It was it was excellent. So,
which is a key. I think a key element of why you call someone like Breezemont Builders, because you want that extra level of, especially because I see a lot of it. I don't know if you've had this experience where people call you for this. A lot of people, even just to add value to your house. Like we've seen where people are like, all right, I have this room that it has a bathroom, it has a closet. If it only had a door, my house goes from like a 3-bedroom house to a 4-bedroom house. Do I need the door? No, but I want it to look good because I want to increase the value of my house. I don't know if you've run into that. Like, hey, if I did, Weston, if you come do this, my house is a little more valuable.
Yeah. Maybe not totally
the primary motivated,
but definitely. I think we're absolutely adding value to people's homes. So
that's actually a good point, especially considering that you're starting to enter a little bit of a. Summer's usually a big time for buying houses and selling houses.
Exactly.
So, that's actually kind of interesting point you made, Alex.
Well,
I haven't thought about it that way.
Well, it's why you would call someone with this kind of expertise. Because if you're like, I don't care what it looks like. If I have an ugly screen door, I have an ugly screen door, right? You might be tempted to just DIY. But if you're like, I want to add a door here, and if I do this, my house becomes more valuable, then you want the door so that when you eventually sell your house, the realtor is like, this is a 4-bedroom house, not like, that door is hideous. You can't sell this house like that, right? So it's making it look good. It's taking that extra step. Yeah. It's making sure that you didn't accidentally mess up the electrical box. Like, I put a dimmer in, and now there's like a fire hazard because I didn't actually connect everything correctly. So then the home inspector comes and says, well, that doesn't work. That's not going to fly.
And that's a big thing you just mentioned, the home inspector, because if you don't get a professional to do it, you never know what the home inspector docs.
Find.
Yes, and says, oh, well, this door is on terrible, you know?
And if you're calling someone last minute, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's like, I'm selling my house, and the home inspector says, you need to fix this. So, that's what it's going to cost to fix this. What's it been like? Because obviously one of the two things, when you own your own business, you've got the stuff you actually do.
Right.
Right? And then you've got like all the other stuff. What's that been like being an entrepreneur as well as, moving from just the work itself?
Yeah. So moving from just the work itself. Yeah, we really tried to focus on creating like a good website and a place where people can find us. And I would say, being an entrepreneur, trying to create like a good brand, marketing, it's a whole different like ball game that I had not really thought about, but I really do enjoy it a lot of times. And I would say that's something we're trying to make better for our clients, is just make ease of scheduling. You can actually book online on our website.
Nice.
So we're trying to make it easy and really, we try to communicate well with our clients. A lot of contractors, they get a call from a client, it's never returned. Our hope is that you're always, we're always reaching back out to you. And if we can't do the work, then we can help you find somebody who can. And so, I have a lot of other subcontractors and people I know. And so we really try to build a relationship with our clients. And I would say I have, multiple returning clients that, have been with me for 5, plus years or whatever. So even before we started Breezemont Builders. So.
Exactly. That's key, is the customer service. Because sometimes I think contracting can get a bad rap.
Yes, absolutely.
You'll always hear, this guy never returned my call, this didn't do that. So I would imagine, it's you guys definitely have to put a lot of work to make sure, you have that reputation.
Yes. Definitely concerned. And want to help our clients with whatever they need, and we love returning clients. So I would say that's what keeps us going. So,
and the nice thing too about what Weston's doing is that I also feel like sometimes the people you talk to and your communication with, and then the people come to kind of like do the repairs and stuff like that, is not necessarily the same person, so you're not really building a connection, whereas you are the guy.
Yes.
You're going to talk to Weston, he's going to come fix it. It's nice to have that personal connection, who's actually coming to install the door or fix your deck, so that's always nice.
It's that kind of, it's the boutique thing, right?
Yes.
That that the handful of guys you might communicate with, mostly you, right, is also the guy who's like, you've seen it, how it works, you know how to fix it. You're not going to go home and send some random guy that you've only met twice in your life. I met this guy once and now he's going to show up. It's a different experience.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Doing that part. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Any advice for people that are okay, I'm thinking of starting, I've been doing something for years, I'm thinking of starting my own business, because I know you put a lot of thought, having known you, I know you put a lot of thought that you had talked about this for several years before you actually went through. So any advice for people who are kind of thinking about starting their own business?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say definitely take the time to plan it. Definitely find that person you can bounce ideas off of. For me, it was easy to have that person already in my home. But have that person you can bounce ideas off of. And I would say do the hard work. Figure out what you need to do. There's a lot to think about as far as licensing and know-how. And I would say rely on other people in your field. I talked to a lot of other contractors, and I was like, hey, how do you get licensed? How does this work? What is this process like? And so I would say in any field, always look to those people who are one step ahead of you, and ask them for advice, and hopefully they'll be able to help.
So. I think sometimes people are afraid, which I think it's not actually the case, but I think there's a fear that all the other people already in the field are going to look at you I don't want to help this guy because he could become a potential competitor. Right. But I think in most fields, a lot of people don't actually operate that way.
Totally.
You fear that they're going to do that, but most people are no, there's plenty of business. I am going to tell you how this works.
Absolutely.
How to become a good person, a good contractor like me, a good subcontractor like me. I'm not going to treat you badly.
Totally. Yeah, and I would say here in Charlottesville, I've just found a number of contractors who were just extremely helpful, and I think there's so much work right now, especially in Charlottesville, because it's such a growing area, that I think most contractors aren't worried about competition, and they're just excited to see other contractors in the field. So
exactly. Especially it's also someone that I could call on.
Yes.
That if I need something put in, it's I don't have to be there's nobody else. I'm the only guy.
Totally, yeah. And I would say a number of my jobs come from other contractors because they're hey, we can't do this, or this is too small for us, and this would fit you. So, that's great when we can help each other out.
Yeah,
So,
it's a great niche
Yeah, totally.
to be in. What's kind of the process like? So you mentioned
Yes.
people booking through the website. What could you walk us through? Okay, someone
Totally.
thinks they may have a job for you. Like, okay, I need this fixed. I'm going to go to Breezemont Builders.
Yeah.
How does it work, the
Yep.
step by step?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I would say most people contact us through text, and then calls, and then using the booking platform. So texting or calling is great. So what we try to do is have the client send us pictures of the work. So, if it's a door, light fixture, whatever it is, they'll send us a picture, little description, and then we try to give an estimate beforehand. So that way they're getting a price, they know, what it is, and, they can decide to use this or not. Because we generally try to avoid going out to the job too much, just to save time for our client too.
Yep.
And most of the time with technology.
Yeah, they don't have to stay home a day just for you to come and look
Exactly.
to give them an estimate. You're trying to give them an estimate quickly.
Yes, totally. So that's kind of how we do it, and then if they agree to the estimate, then we'll go out, and maybe the estimate would change a little bit. If we see something that might be a little off, or maybe it'll be a little cheaper. Just depending. And so we go out to the job, we execute on the work, and then they pay us afterwards, and then we're done. So
Pretty simple. Pretty simple.
Yep.
So you can do estimate by just text or phone.
Yes.
Text a picture and so forth. So best ways to contact anyone works, like text, phone.
Yeah, text is great. You can call us and email through our website too. Has all our information. It's got our phone number, email, Facebook page. So yeah.
Awesome.
And what's the website?
Yeah. So the website is breezemont-builders.com.
Breezemont-builders.com. And you guys are on. I think you are on Facebook, right? Too.
Yes, we're on
Yep.
Facebook.
Which
Yep.
will link there. So if
Yeah,
you're
Breezemont
watching
Builders.
us on Facebook, I just did it. You type in Breezemont Builders. You don't need the dash on Facebook. It will take you to the right place, and then
Yes.
you can click the little link that has Breezemont-builders.com,
Yes.
which is awesome. And phone number.
Yeah,
If you
phone
want
number
contact,
is
that's
434-218-0526.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way to do it.
Yes.
That's the way to do it. Well, man, this has been really awesome.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you
Yeah.
on.
Great
No,
to be here.
I mean we've seen your handiwork. We've seen. I mean the beautiful wood awning that you made for your own wedding.
Yes.
I believe has graced other weddings
Yes, it has.
in Charlottesville, which is saying a lot given the Charlottesville wedding community. So it's graced other ones. You got already the comments coming in of all the great jobs that you've done. So especially it's good for people to know that there's someone like you out there, that you're not, your choices are not YouTube video, how do I do this?
Right.
And major contractor who's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure this job is big enough for me, right?
Yep.
You have that great niche to be like, I need this done. I need it done beautifully. Can I send you a picture and get an estimate?
Yep.
Which is a great process.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It has been a pleasure to have you
Yeah.
on, Weston.
Yeah, thanks
so
for
glad
coming
we'll
on,
have you
Weston.
back on in a year for
Yeah.
the electrical part.
Yes. that'd be
And then we'll
great.
have you back on in 5 years when you're building custom homes.
There you go. Great. Awesome.
It's
Thank
always
you.
awesome. So be sure to check out Breezemont Builders. It is breezemont-builders.com. All righty.
Awesome.
Well, this has been a great show.
Great show.
Always.
One little plug in, because I know it's coming up soon. So in 2 weeks, Charlottesville Opera's got Carmen.
Yes.
Yes.
Carmen, you just went to their
I went to the festival on Sunday. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, they had all the kids' activities. I was tempted to get my face painted, but I resisted.
You listened to the concert instead.
But I did listen to the concert, and yeah, some of the clips that they had, some of the songs from Carmen.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had the famous one. I will never know the name, but if you know Carmen,
You
it's
know the song,
na,
yeah.
na, 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 na. It was fantastic. I can't imagine seeing it on the stage at Paramount.
Yeah, that'll be special.
And then they also one of the last finales, they did one of like Les Mis, which was like
You said it was
really
really good,
great.
yeah.
I
I was
mean,
sad
like
to
Michael
miss it.
Sloan was there. He was conducting that whole course, and then
Oh,
they had all
man.
these singers.
That's pretty
they
awesome.
had the little orchestra there. Yeah, it was really good.
Awesome.
You know, so it's just kind of like a little preview.
That's coming up soon. That is on.
I think June 20th.
June 20th. Let me double check it here
20,
because you can go to
21st, and 22nd,
charlottesvilleopera.org. So yes, indeed. I mean, if you're interested in Pirates of Penzance, if you want to do a little operetta to try to maybe bring in someone for the first time, that is July 11th, 12th, 13th.
Okay.
Carmen is June 20th, June 21st, June 22nd.
Yep.
So that one's coming up first. So do not waste any time on that. charlottesvilleopera.org. You go to the tickets will be when you purchase them. It will take you to the paramount.net to purchase, but the links are there. If you go to charlottesvilleopera.org, season, hit Carmen/Pirates, and you click any of those dates, it'll take you straight there. So be sure to check that out. That's coming right up. I wouldn't miss it. Yeah.
No, yeah. It's going to be good.
It's going to be pretty neat. So be sure to check that out, charlottesvilleopera.org. Little shout out our friends at Sombreros, new location.
Really?
'Cause I know they've been on the show before. They are now still York Place, but in the old Grit Coffee on the mall. So if you want great breakfast, all your good, Mexican breakfast burritos, breakfast food, great breakfast, great coffee, then you don't have to go to the other side. Right there off the downtown mall, York Place.
That's great to hear.
Old Grit Coffee location is now Sombreros. So be sure to check that out. Say hi to Lucrecia Bernardo for us. So that's always love talking about them. So this has been a great show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
I was happy to be on with you, Alex.
Yeah,
it
it was a lot of fun. Thanks to everyone who commented today. Love all our great viewers. Be sure to send us any other awesome entrepreneurs to have on the show. We look forward to seeing you all in a couple weeks. We're going to have on monthly meetup with Matthias. It's coming right up, so do not want to miss that. Love all our fantastic partners, Charlottesville Opera, Matthias Realty, Emergent Financial Services. Thank you, all of us, for joining us. Thanks to the I Love CVille set, Judah Whittower behind the camera, making us all look good. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you all in a couple weeks. But until that time, as we like to close it out on the show, hasta mañana.